Hey YouTube, welcome back to Tinker with Tools. For the past few episodes we have talked about either Milwaukee or DeWalt. Those tool brands dominate the forums when asked about which tool brand you should get started with. But what I want to answer today is, are there other tool brands out there that can give you a professional quality of tool, one that's going to last and one that's going to get the job done when you need it most? So stay tuned because we're going to talk about that today on Tinker with Tools. So today we are going to talk about Metabo HPT. They are the green brand of tools that you may see kicking around your Lowe's or Menards. And why we are going to talk about them is because they offer some of the most unique and innovative power tools, and they actually offer a pretty competitive lineup that can get the job done. As you can see behind me here, I actually have a Hitachi miter saw. This is actually the second one I've owned. I also owned back in the day a Hitachi drill that was my very first drill given to me by my dad. Now, some of those tools are long and gone because it's been about 15 years, but the experience I had with them kept me coming back and kept me interested in this. Now, if you've paid attention to people in construction, specifically either R&R buildings or doctor decks, the Metabo triple hammer is one of the tools that they are going to talk about, and that got me intrigued and made me want to check it out. So when I saw it sitting on a shelf one day for $37 on Lowe's clearance, I had to pick it up and give it a try. And I've been pleasantly surprised. Now that doesn't mean it's not without its drawbacks, but we can cover some of the good and some of the bad and give you the indication if this is something you should consider for a pro level tool. Now today what we have here is the 18 volt variety. Specifically its model number WH18DBL2. This is the 18 volt version of their impact driver. They also have it with a very similar model number that is their 36 volt. There's a little bit of difference between the two. Mainly it comes down to a little bit extra power on the 36 volt. But for my money, the 18 volt was sufficient, and it can still take those larger multi-volt batteries that keep it nice. Now when you pick this up, the first thing you notice is just how well balanced it is, and it almost feels for me like this tool was made for my hand. I talk about grip a lot, and one of the reasons why is because if a tool is not comfortable in the hand, you're less likely to go out and grab it or pick it up and want to use it. This tool feels great in the hand, trigger position is awesome, and everything for that just kind of works for me. It's got a nice power delivery, and because of that triple hammer, it actually comes in to be pretty smooth. Now why do they call this thing the triple hammer? Well, it all comes down to what's running on the inside. Driven by a brushless motor, on an impact driver, what you end up having is a hammer and an anvil system, and that hammer is going to get spinning and pound the anvil, and when it does it, the bit in the end rotates. You end up with a lot of torque and typically a pretty controlled drive of the fastener that makes for a nice delivery. Now most impact drivers today have two hammers, or a mechanism with two hammers on the side that drive that around. This one's a little different. As you guessed it, it actually has three hammers, so a triple hammer rotation there. And that is designed to give faster driving according to Metabo HPT, more torque, more power, and a smoother operation with less vibrating. That is the key component here for me, is the smoothness of this drive. I really think it does. The specs on this one, it will go up to 2,900 RPMs. It has 1,832 inch-pounds of torque and will have 4,000 impacts per minute. What's going to really help you there is the impacts per minute and the torque. This will drive some large fasteners. The speed is a little bit down from some of the other premium impact drivers on the market, and so I don't think you get as fast to drive always, but if you're doing a repetitive task like laying down a deck or doing something like that, the less vibration is going to matter at the end of the day, and I think it's a good trade-off for that power some of the time. Now let's talk about some of the drawbacks of this tool. One of the first ones is going to be the lack of a quick insert collet. If you find yourself having to change bits frequently, having to pull that collet out every single time you want to do it, can get a little bit annoying. That is one thing for me that would really take this from a great tool and start to put it up there. The other thing for me is the forward and reverse switch sticks out considerably farther than I think it does with just about any other brand. You can actually, when you're holding it, push your thumb up against that and have a nice little ledge to rest your thumb on or rest your thumb against, and you're not going anywhere. It sticks out quite far. So when it comes to switching those gears, that does get a little bit annoying. Alright, so that brings us to the next little thing that I think could be made better if they ever come out with another version 2 of this, and that is the placement of some of the controls to control the speed and the power you're getting. They've decided to put it over here on the side, which for visibility is decent, but in terms of access, if you have that belt hook installed, you're kind of having to go at it from one way and not really just be able to reach around and grab it blindly. It also is not the most intuitive display to tell you what gear you're in. Sure enough, there are 4 different speeds you can go into. I actually had to look it up in the manual before recording this to even know what they meant. You've got your soft mode, which is the first red dot. Then you kind of have a reddish pink one that is going to be your normal mode for driving most of your fasteners. And then they have a P mode, which is your power mode, and an S mode, which comes to self-tapping. So it's set up just like the Milwaukee, but in terms of a 1, 2, 3, and then the picture of a screw, I think it actually just makes a little more sense on other tools when you're trying to select that and figure out what it means. Now, as I mentioned, I actually ended up getting this on a clearance sale for $37. Normally the tool, bare tool, is going to come in around $149, and if you're going into a kit, you're going to be over $200 to get that. I have noticed that especially with the 18 volt version, they will start including that with their non-top of the line hammer drill, and sometimes that will come in at $199 with 2 batteries. I'm pairing it right here with the 5 amp hour multi-volt battery, so when it's in 18 volt mode, it's a 5 amp hour battery. It's going to be comparable to that you see from DeWalt or Milwaukee. If you're running it in 36 volt, it is going to be a 2.5 amp hour battery, but you are going to get that higher power draw on the 36 volt tool. Overall, everything else is a great tool. I think this is one that definitely deserves to be up there and considered as a professional quality tool, and I think it's one that you should be taking a look at. Now let's take a look at some tests and see how it stacks up against the competition. Alright, so there you have it. I'll let the results speak for themselves. When it comes down to it, I do think it's a nice impact to use, and I think it's a brand that you should consider. They have all sorts of battery-powered nailers. They've got some new saws coming out. They've got different cordless tools that give you great flexibility if you're running a place where you don't have an extension cord available to you. And the price, typically at Lowe's, is going to have some really good sales and clearance that allows you to get a good deal on these tools and maybe get a more complete collection for less money than if you go with either Milwaukee or DeWalt. So next time you're shopping for a power tool, take a look over at Metabo HPT and see if that's something that you would consider or you think can meet your needs. Ready, set, go. We try and put out a new video weekly, so go ahead and give us a like and subscribe, and you can keep seeing great content and find out the information you need about your tools. If there's a tool that you're just dying to see a review on, hit me up in the comments and let me know, and we'll see if we can make that happen. Once again, thanks for watching Tinker with Tools, and have a great day out in your shop.